Ah, the American lawn. 80 million acres of flat green grass. It is a sign that home is neat, tidy, and fitting in with everyone else. However, it is also a pain in the butt. You have to seed it, aerate it, water it, weed it, fertilize it, and the constant mowing just to have a plain green patch. I mean, come on. You know what's worse? Lawns contribute almost nothing to our local ecosystems. In central North Carolina, where I live, there are hundreds of species of native bees, thousands of other pollinators like butterflies and moths, and not to even talk about the birds that rely on plants for their survival. However, our lawns don't support any of them. And that's why I am going to be shrinking my lawn by replacing this patch of grass and expanding my current beds, planting native species that look great, low maintenance, and also support dozens of native pollinators and other wildlife. However, if I was just to hire somebody to do all the legwork, buy a bunch of plants from a nursery, it may not seem like what I'm doing is approachable or achievable without a bunch of extra cash. So I'm going to challenge myself. Hi, I'm Dave, the eco-friendly gardener, and I'm going to challenge myself to do this entire project completely free. That's right. I am going to show you and walk you through step by step on how you too can shrink your lawn space and create a beneficial habitat for wildlife and pollinators absolutely free. No more excuses. It's time to become part of the solution today. Hey everyone, welcome back to our native plant bed project. So anytime we are going to create a new bed, we have a couple of options. We can dig out all of the grass and the weeds and add in fill dirt and kind of create the bed from scratch. But I don't want to disturb the soil. Our plants want organic matter, so that would be this grass, these weeds. We would like to try to keep them in there as much as we can to avoid losing those nutrients. And so what I'm going to do is actually a little bit of a different method. It's a lot less work. My cat Clementine is going to come and help out as well. And that is layering cardboard and soil on top of the cardboard. What that's going to do is it's going to create a weed barrier. So what we can do is we can just go ahead and pop one of these on. This is going to naturally suppress the weeds. And you can see I probably need a little bit more, but cardboard is readily available, especially nowadays when we order everything from Amazon. You just want to make sure that the cardboard isn't like painted. It's not like those like the colored boxes and stuff like that. Regular brown cardboard will do. Try to get off as many stickers, packing labels, that kind of stuff off of there. I want to hold down these cardboard boxes for sure. So we'll start with the soil. Now, you can dig up soil from somewhere else in your yard. You can always also go on Facebook and get some free dirt. So okay, so we have our first layer down, and that is the dirt. And as you can see, it's very uneven.
That is totally fine, because over time, the vegetation and all of this dirt is going to settle into place, and then I can go in and add additional dirt as needed to kind of fill it out, fix the level. I'm really just trying to get all the cardboard compressed and held in place so that it doesn't fly away. Now let's go ahead and spread some of that those leaves, some of those wood chips, and then I'm going to finish it off by putting some of those larger sticks on there as well, so that it adds some visual interest while it's breaking down, but also helps to compress and keep those leaves down as much as possible. Hey guys, Dave again, the Eco-Friendly Gardener. So I'm in the backyard right now, and as you can see, I'm right next to an oak tree that we've got growing here. And if you live in a property that has a tree, this is honestly one of the best resources in the garden. What it does is it provides obviously some shade, but it also drops leaves. And leaves, for a lot of my neighbors, unfortunately, they throw them all away. They clean them up as soon as they drop, as soon as they're finished. They whisk them off, they bag them up, they put them in, the green can so that the city will come and pick them up. But I like to use them as kind of a free source of organic matter and mulch. And so part of being an eco-friendly gardener is finding natural ways or organic ways to solve common issues in the garden. And whenever you're creating a new bed, it's just bare soil. And you don't want bare soil in your garden. The reason is that's how you get weeds, but that's also not providing really anything for the local ecology. And so part of the reason I'm planting these native plants is because I want to have a little bit more of a nice habitat for caterpillars, for butterflies, for moths, and all the beneficial insects that we want in our ecosystem to then feed the birds and do all this stuff that we can do to kind of add back to the environment. So the reason why I'm over here is just to show you that, a lot of the leaves, I left them over the entire winter, even into the spring. They're going to decay over time, but a lot of insects actually overwinter in these leaves. They drop down from the oak tree. They need a little bit of cushion when they fall, and they also need a little bit of cover to then go and set up cocoons. They actually nest in those leaves. So when you're scooping them up and you're throwing them out, you're really kind of wasting it. But for our project right now, creating this new bed, I'm going to be taking these leaves and I'm going to be putting them on top of the bare soil. I'm also going to add in wood chips. And if you can see right here, I have a large pile of sticks. So anytime that I actually take material off of a shrub, I take a limb off of a tree, anything like that, I keep it. I don't get rid of it. I actually invested about $100 if you go on Amazon into an electric wood chipper, and so I will take these, I'll feed it into that, and I'll make my own wood chips. Essentially, your mulch is a mix of that organic material, leaves, wood, a little bit of dirt, and that's exactly what you already have in your garden. So you don't have to actually buy it. All you have to do is save what you have and repurpose it. So it saves you money. It also is better for the environment. So instead of dealing with every single weed with Roundup, you can do it a natural way, a natural weed barrier. You'll have a lot less weeds. It's a lot easier to maintain. And our native plants absolutely love it, because a lot of the plants that I'm going to be planting in our garden are things that naturally occur in a woodland setting. And if you walk out in the woods, it's not just bare dirt, right? You have a lot of leaves, you have a lot of organic matter that accumulates over time. And that's what we want to mimic in our garden. So follow me along. I'm going to go ahead and take this material just right out of my own backyard. I encourage you to do the same, or if you have neighbors maybe that have trees, you can gather leaves from them. You can also collect wood chips from local tree services, and those are free. They will actually pull up an entire truck and just dump a bunch of wood chips for you for free. And that's something that I actually did when I first moved in. I'm actually standing on a bunch of wood chips. As you can see, there's not a ton of weeds in this bed, partly because of that, but it's adding that organic matter back in. So hopefully that was a helpful tip for you, and I'm excited to finish up this project. So let's go get into it. Okay, so this is pretty much complete step one. Now, it's going to take some time for this to decay, but I've done this method actually in another bed in my front yard that I'm going to show you, and it's completely decayed. It took a couple of months. Now, this is probably also going to take a couple of months, and I'm not going to start planting right away, obviously, because it's not ready for that just yet. But I will go into showing you kind of the funnest part of this video, which is finding those plants for free.
Okay, so let's start talking about some different ways that you can get free plants. And I'm going to start with the most simple and fairly obvious method for getting free plants, and that is propagating plants. What propagation is what happens basically naturally in the wild. A plant produces a flower, the flower gets pollinated, that turns into fruit. The fruit has seeds, the seeds go into the ground, they grow a new plant. That's propagation. That's called sexual propagation. Now, there's also methods of asexual propagation, meaning you don't need all that process to happen, you don't even need seeds. There's a lot of different ways that you can create a new plant, encourage it to root new growth into the soil and start basically all over again. And that's called asexual propagation, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, there's lots of different methods. You're looking at two of them, which are probably the coolest ones. One is super easy. You basically take you take a piece of the plant, tuck it into the ground, put soil on top of it, and boom, that thing will start rooting. It's not as simple as that, but there is definitely a lot of different ways to do this. I'm not going to go into everything. I'm going to link to this article, which is done by the University of Missouri. Really great article that goes over every type of propagation imaginable and how to do it.
Wanted to point out this mountain mint and also this goldenrod. So mountain mint is one of these types of plants that's a mint. This can run totally rampant. I absolutely love this plant because it is so easy to grow. As you can see, I have a ton of them coming up. This is one of the ones that we're going to go ahead and use. So I'm going to dig up a couple of these, and I'm going to put them in a pot, and then I'm going to put them into our new garden bed. So let's take a look at first this goldenrod here. I'll grab maybe just one of these. There. So you can see right here, this goldenrod's got some nice roots forming. I'm just taking this little cut off of this. This is gonna go perfect in our garden. I've got some compost already here. I will just dig a little hole, pop this little guy in here. Perfect. It's like, let's do this, get some of this out. That's why I love native plants. They do well in our soil. I have clay soil here, and this is going to be a really happy guy. I've got some more compost right here. We'll go ahead and kind of top this off a little bit since this plant was in there pretty deep. Perfect. There's number one. Now let's grab a little bunch of this mountain mint here. What I'm using is a Japanese hori knife. I love native plants. These things have roots that are really deep, so you can see here, boom. Now these will definitely reroot. This is a mint is a kind of a notorious spreader, as you can see already. We're going to take a little bit of the dirt that was in that area where it was growing, because it liked it. Take a little bit more. Now I have more dirt I can put in there, but you can see the soil. And I've only lived here for about 1.5 years, and this is actually covered by landscape fabric, and it was just raw clay underneath it. You can see how quickly adding more organic material like mulch and leaves and stuff helps your soil. Let's go ahead and take these, create a little divot, put that existing soil there. Now let's go and top off with that compost that we did last. Now it's very important that we keep these moist. We don't want these to dry out. We want these roots to be able to form pretty well. Yeah, this is looking good so far. Take a look. I'm trying to pay attention also to where the soil level was when I uprooted it too. And you can kind of see on the plants where the soil was. So the deeper you go, the different color it is. So I want to kind of get it to the similar height in there, as you can see. Hopefully the camera saw that. But now I've got my 2 native plants that I've got right from my garden, just propagated by digging it up.
All right, another method of propagation is called live staking. And what you're looking at here is after about 1 year of having a live stake in the ground. And essentially a live stake is a hardwood cutting of a shrub, something like this is a dogwood. You basically put it in the ground and you water it and you let it root out. It takes some time, but it is an effective method. So this dogwood and this elderberry are both free plants.
All right, so let's talk about another free method of gaining plants, and also one of my favorites, and that is plants that you already have in your garden or plants that you can give or get as gifts. Right now what you're looking at is an anemone, which is a great ground cover plant. This one is not a native, but it was gifted to me, and I'm pointing it out to you for reasons, because you can see here I've got a lot of these little pups. So this plant is starting to spread and naturalize in the space, which is what we want. But eventually I might want to dig a couple of these up, or maybe I only want one of them. And so I can pot these and I can give them away to friends and family or people that I meet through Facebook, a native plant society, something like that, or just a regular gardener friend. And the reason I wanted to point that out is because a friend of mine actually gave me those oak leaf hydrangea you can see there in the front. Those 3 right there, she has a lot of oak leaf hydrangea, And as you kind of make friends in this kind of hobby, or you have friends that you know or family you know that already garden, this is a great way to just ask, like, hey, are you getting rid of anything? Do you have too much of anything? And I actually went and helped her out moving some windows around her house. She had some old windows I'm actually going to use as a cold frame later, but I helped her get rid of those, and she gave me a couple of these oak leaf hydrangeas. She had like a dozen of them, but those are really great native plants. They're native to the eastern United States and Canada, and hydrangeas are gorgeous. So I think it's going to go really well right there, and so that's another way that you can get free plants for your garden beds.
All right, let's talk about another really fantastic resource. We're taking a look at Facebook right now, which I'm on the North Carolina Native Plant Society Facebook page. And this is a fantastic resource. And you don't have to live in North Carolina. Every state in the United States has a native plant society, at least that I know of. I have not run into one that does not. If you do not have one, maybe consider starting one, because they're just fantastic places to meet new people that are also interested in protecting and using native plants, interested in local ecology. These are your good gardening friends. These are the ones that are going to help you and encourage you to do good things in your garden for the natural world around you. And you may notice in this picture here that we have one of the representatives that is at an event, and she is giving away free milkweed seeds. That's right. This is actually a really good resource for free plants. Native plant societies have a lot of people, like I mentioned, that are interested in helping people and also preserving and encouraging the use of native plants. And a lot of folks have some of those volunteer plants that I mentioned in the previous section. Just like I got some free plants gifted, there I do see people from time to time saying, "Hey, I've got some extra live stakes. Hey, I've got some extra of these plants that I'm looking to give away." And you can also, for a very reasonable price, pick up some fantastic specimens at the different native plant sales that they sponsor as well. All right, well, let's talk about probably the most controversial method that I'm going to mention today, and that is collecting plants or also participating in what's called a plant rescue. So, when I say collecting plants, what I mean is going to a property that is not yours. So, whether that is for another private homeowner, it could be a friend, could be a relative, or going into a public area and gathering plants that are growing in the wild or growing in someone else's on someone else's property. Now, there can be instances where you can definitely do that. And that would be, if you know the person and they give you permission, or if you spot something and you go and talk to the person and they give you permission. When it comes to public land, there's a little bit more involved. And so the only thing I want to mention is, because I don't know where you are, you'll need to do some of your own research on the legality of collecting plants, either out in the wild or on other people's property, and make sure that you have the permission to do so by the law, by the landowner, by whoever it is that has that property and the land and the plants on it that you are trying to collect.
Thank you so much for watching this far. Before we wrap up this video, I have to just mention that I've had a blast creating this content for you all, and I would really love, and if you like it as well, to consider liking this video, putting a comment down with any of your thoughts, any questions, if you're running into some trouble, or if you have other tips that you would like to share with our growing community. That would be fantastic. Also, please consider subscribing, as this garden bed and more projects like this are going to be featured in regular update videos, and I will be creating more content like this in the future. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at all of the free plants that we're going to be putting in our native garden bed, and I'm going to be showcasing those to you today. And as you can see, it's raining quite a lot, and so we'll take a look at what the final product looks like of our native garden bed before it starts decaying, all the grass dies and the weeds die, and then in the future we will go ahead and get everything into the ground. So before we leave, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the plants that we gathered for free, and I will see you next time. Now look at all of our free plants. This is freaking amazing. So I'm gonna go through and tell you what it is, the final count of everything that we've got here and what these do and how they're going to be fit into our new garden bed. So this right here is an obedient plant. This is the first one. You can see I've got a pretty large chunk of them. I dug these up out of my father-in-law's bed. He's got a ton of these growing, and it's kind of taken over. So it's a very aggressive plant, but it's really good for pollinators. It's got these beautiful flower spikes that are pink, and they have a lot of really great nectar, and they're really good for butterflies and hummingbirds in particular as well. Second, I've got oak leaf hydrangea. So we mentioned this was a gift from a friend I had helped out by moving some things around in our house, and these are also U.S. native. They're fantastic. They also have long flower spikes, but they are going to be white flowers, and these are going to grow a little bit taller. These can get up to 12 feet tall if they were really, really, really going off. But we'll probably keep these a little bit more shrubby, maybe 5 feet max. We want to kind of layer. If you could tell from the other videos, this is an expansion of a current garden bed. And so that has already some tall growing items like a Native American hazelnut, elderberry plant, and also red twig dogwood. All right, next I've got the goldenrod that we dug up. Now this is a cultivar called Solar Cascade. It is not a straight species, but it is a really nice looking plant. It provides really great yellow flowers and then a lot of pollen for our pollinators in the summer and fall. This is also a U.S. native, as I mentioned. I've got this mountain mint here. The mountain mint is another aggressive plant, but it provides this really beautiful foliage. It actually comes up and gets lighter and lighter and lighter the closer it gets to the flower head, almost like a directional beacon for those pollinators to find it. And it has these like kind of silver green type flowers and white flowers on it. Lastly, we've got the common milkweed. Now, any good native plant garden should have milkweed in it. The reason is it is the host plant for the monarch butterfly. Host plants just mean that the caterpillar can eat the foliage. One thing you may not realize is that having a pollinator-friendly garden is not just about the flowers, it is also about providing host plants for those caterpillars. Caterpillars and plants have specialized relationships, one of many found in nature, but the monarch butterfly caterpillar is the only caterpillar that can actually eat milkweed. Milkweed has this white milky latex sap that comes out when it's eaten, and it will actually glue mandibles shut of a caterpillar. So what the monarch caterpillar does, it crawls down, it serrates the middle section of the leaf and stops the flow, and then it can eat the rest of it. It's things like that that we really don't think about, but we can definitely appreciate in nature by providing the host plants for the butterflies that we want to see in our garden. So hopefully that is helpful for you and you understand a little bit more about why native plants are so important. If you watched till the end of the video, thank you so much for all the support. If you liked this content, please consider, again, sharing it with friends, subscribing, giving me a like, and maybe a comment down below. We'll talk to you next time.